On today's episode of Watch JR Go, finishing my 1967 Camaro. This video is sponsored by World of Warships. More on that later. What is going on, guys? I am Watch JR Go, and today we are starting almost 2 years ago when I bought a 1967 Camaro for $6,700, if I remember right. It might have been $7,500. It's been 2 years, but it was a crazy deal on a 67 Camaro with a 327 in it. And after that, we pulled out that 327 because it didn't want to run, and we put an LS in it and we made it a driver. We took it to LS Fest. It's beautiful under the hood. And then a lot of you guys have been asking for years where it went. Well, it went right here. This is my new 1967 Camaro because I have finished mine. No, I haven't finished mine. I bought this last night. This is, of course, a Camaro I've made a video on before. It's called Resto-Mod Perfection, driving the perfect 1967 Camaro. And when I bought mine to build it, it was all because of this car. Now, the owner is one of my best friends, and honestly, he built this thing about 15 years ago, and it's been sitting for at least 5 years, basically. I think I'm the only person to have really driven it in the last 3 years. He's probably driven it a couple, but other than that, every car show, everything like that, everybody else wants to take all the crazy cars. He's got 911 Turbo S's and Lambos, and he's got a huge fleet, but this car is the one that I drive. First, because I'm used to driving anything. If you can give me any car in the world and I'll be able to drive it. So that's why a lot of people are like, take this one that's a little more temperamental than the easy to drive cars. So I've been driving this, and every time I drive it, I'm like, if you ever sell it, this is the car I want. And he finally called me the other day and was like, I mean, it's covered in dirt. It's covered in dirt. And he was like, do you want this car? It hasn't been moved in so long. And I was like, absolutely I do. So we made a deal. And I will say that I paid probably the middle of the Resto-Mod market. I paid a lot of money for this car, and it's gonna cost just as much money to finish my other one, and we will get back to my other 67 Camaro here shortly, but let's talk about this one for just a minute. We'll get back to work here in just a second, but first I need to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, World of Warships. World of Warships is a free-to-play naval warship game, and the best part about it is the gameplay doesn't get stale. They release new content every month, whether it's new ships, in-game nations, cosmetics, or even ship classes. You can always count on enjoying fresh gameplay experiences in World of Warships' stunning 12v12 arenas. Lately, they've thrown in cool updates like Godzilla vs. Kong and Transformers. Not only is the gameplay fun, but there's an active and engaged community playing World of Warships, so whenever you jump in, there are definitely going to be other people online to play against and have a blast any time of the day. And it's not just a PC game. You can play World of Warships on your Xbox, PlayStation, phone, wherever you are, so you can jump in and be a captain of a warship whenever you want. So hit the link in the description below and download World of Warships today. And during registration, use the code HPPYNWYR2024, that's Happy New Year 2024, to receive a huge starter pack including a free ship, 300 doubloons, 1 million credits, and 7 days of premium account time, 1 ship, 3 Santa's gift containers, the New Year Constellation flag, and 10 New Year Sky camouflages. So like I said, hit the link in the description below, download World of Warships today, and get busy playing. Thank you so much to World of Warships for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to work. So Brian built this car. It is tuxedo black and it's been repainted. Of course, it's had everything on the planet done to it. You can see the tuxedo and parchment interior there, which is basically the same spec as my RS. I don't think this is actually an SS, but I could be wrong, so don't even listen to me. It's fully SS badged, and it has the 427 badges as well, but I actually don't know if it was a real SS. It very well could be, and it could have been trimmed up because it's built to be an SS, basically. So under the hood is where a lot of the magic happens on this car, so let's jump in here and take a quick look at that. And don't worry guys, it is a little bit broken. There are projects that we're gonna do on this car to finally make it perfect. It's not anything you need for it to drive, but they are little tiny things that I would like to get done. Like you can see, the headlights are open right now. Well, there's motors that drive those. My other car needs those, and this car needs those. I think this car has them, but they just don't run. So let's pop the hood, like I said. And once we open up this beautiful rally striped hood, you can see the monster power plant that's in this. This is a 396 big block with AFR heads on it, Lemons headers, Taylor wires. Just everything is absolutely insane on this car. Many of you have already noticed the fuel rails. It is fuel injected, so it starts and runs every time. Everything under the hood is billet for the most part. Like even the brake reservoir here is billet. And there's another project we need to do. If you see, there's a little bit of leakage. I gotta put a new gasket on that brake reservoir there. So just little drivability things from this car sitting. I mean, it gets driven maybe once a year or something like that. It is not a daily driver, but it sure could be. It runs so well. The fuel injection is fast XFI. It's been on the car. If I would have done it, it would have been a Holly, but at the same time, it's on here and it works and it's tuned. And even though I really want to change it to a Holly because it's what I'm used to, I don't know if I want to change it because it's so good as is. You can see these massive breathers over here on these beautiful welded valve covers. They run down to these huge Moroso catch cans, and I think you can see the filters right there through the grill. And that makes sure we catch any blow-by, and the crankcase ventilation works as designed. It also has vintage air. I bought it and I was gonna drive it home last night. I was expecting there to be no heat. And I was like, does the heat work? And Brian's like, yeah, man, it all works. I think the AC might need try. I was like, the AC? You left AC in this car? It literally has everything you want to be a driver, even a full audio system. We'll get to that in a minute. So polished alternator, polished vintage air compressor, a nice modern tensioner setup. I think that's a tensioner from an LS with a little chrome cover on it. E-fans, so we're not robbing power from the engine to run these E-fans. I mean, I don't know what it makes, but 500 to 600 horsepower. I know it's been on the dyno here at Wichita Dyno. He built the engine and tuned it, so it is a monster, whatever it is. It makes all the power. K&N air filter there, Ron Davis radiator, billet overflow tank that I need to put a new gasket on because I noticed some antifreeze weep out of the top of the tank there. So let's see. Ooh, that's a weird seal, isn't it? A clear O-ring. That needs a new seal, I can tell you that much. It shouldn't move around. Here in the front, we have these wheel Ventique wheels wrapped in NTO 1s on the front, NTO 5Rs on the back. All the tires do need replaced. They are from 2015. So they're almost to 10 years, almost to 10 years. They still look great, but it's time to put tires on it just because of the age, honestly, especially the rears. This car has done a lot of big, nasty burnouts because it is really good at that. It's got a line lock. So there's a line lock hiding in there to lock the brakes on the front wheels in case you want to do massive burnouts. And obviously when you've got a line lock, push the brake, hit the button, let off the brake, and then these wheels stay locked up and the back wheels can spin to your heart's content until there's no tire left. So I'm going to be very careful doing any burnouts with this because I don't want to pop a tire and wipe out a fender. It would be very expensive and heartbreaking on this car. Honestly, when Brian was letting me drive this car, I was almost a little harder on it because I know how he drives it. He has fun with his cars, he enjoys them, so we did the same. But now that I own it, I'm like, I gotta be nice to it. I love it too much and I don't wanna be out here working on it all the time. But it's an old car. Old cars, it comes with the territory, you're going to work on them all the time. These are the retro bright taillights that I have for my 67 Camaro as well. They're sequential, so when you step on the brakes, they light up from the center out. And when the turn signals are on, they do that too. They sit there and go like that. It's really cool. You can see the tank sump back there for the giant aftermarket fuel cell that this thing runs on. There's an Aeromotive A1000 that's huge, parked up underneath there. It's on a 12 bolt with a billet cover. It's got crazy traction bars back here. Let's see, Caltrac, traction bars, Bayer brakes, drilled, slotted. It has the everything. If there's a mod you could do to a 67 Camaro, pretty much everything except for Ring Brothers hood hinges is done to this car. So I might actually look into Ring Brothers hood hinges because with all the other billet that's under the hood, it'd look really nice to have billet hinges. I know these work great and they're original to the car and it's kind of the right move, but those billet ones, make sure the back of the hood doesn't stay up like it always does on a 67. When you close this, the gap's just off by a hair and then you push on it and the hinge closes as you would expect. And it's kind of an old car thing. It's normal if you've been around a lot. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about right now. So we'll shut the hood. You can feel that hinge wasn't happy. So the hood's shut, and then back here, we've got 1/4 inch gap, and then you grab right above the hinge, don't push anywhere else, because you don't want to bend the hood or cause it to come out of whack. And then you go like that, and the hinge closes completely. And now it has perfect body lines. Pretty standard. And the billet hinges would fix it. Maybe we'll do that in the future, and maybe we won't because it's character. It's great character. Who doesn't love this car? This is the Americana car that I think everyone on the planet loves. This is the only car that has been more universally adored while I've been driving it than a Lambo or something like that. People appreciate those. They always have their phones out. More people appreciate this, and I don't know how it's possible. Everybody loves this car. Some people might whine about it being loud, and it does have electric cutouts, and it does have a full exhaust, so you can decide how loud you want it to be. I keep it in loud. This is how you judge a 67 Camaro or any first gen. Look at that. G-Wagon style door latches right there. It shuts perfectly with a nice thud. So inside here, it's everything you'd expect, but modernized. You can see that Kenwood head unit right there. An aftermarket, if I remember right, Tic-Tac Tac. I don't think this was actually a Tic-Tac Tac car, but it looks kind of right. And it's got an aftermarket auto meter water gauge. And here you can see the fuel, temperature, clock, and the oil pressure isn't hooked up. It would be cool if I could see the oil pressure. You don't have to have it, but it'd be nice. Her shifter, because you have to. And here's the line lock, and then the vintage air controls are up there, looking 100% stock. Budnik tri-spoke steering wheel. It looks period correct, that's for sure, but it's modern and billet. And beautiful back seats where the windows work and all the seals are in there. And it even has a great audio system hiding in here. So in the trunk, we've got a fire extinguisher, a bunch of extra AN line and wire sleeving that Brian threw in here, the factory assembly manual if you need to work on it, a bunch of old parts, and it has its own battery tender, which is hardwired in, very nice. Throw an extension cord in the back with the trunk open, and it will keep the battery alive for you, which is an Optima. And you know, back in the day, that was always the battery. This mount is built for the Optima, so I guess we're gonna keep putting Optimas in it. The rest of the trunk hides the audio system. You can see, I think that's four 6x9s right there. And they're all DD audio or Digital Designs audio, I think. That SS4B amp is running all 4 channels so it can get loud, because it's really hard to overcome the sound of the engine with the audio system. For the most part, you don't end up using it, but when you're on a long trip, it's super nice to have music, especially Bluetooth, all the modern amenities with AC, Bluetooth, like it becomes a nice touring car once you decide that it's time to settle down, close the cutouts, and just cruise down the road in 5th gear. So there you have it, my finished 1967 Camaro with the exact mod list that I wanted to do to mine, and it just appeared all done and behind the scenes with fresh paint and exactly the way I expected mine to look. So now that you guys have seen my new 67 Camaro, let's fire this thing up and we're gonna take it over so my dad can take it for a spin and see what he thinks, because he just might have a first gen Camaro project coming up as well. We're gonna be building and finishing a whole lot of these things all at the same time. So let's fire it up. I'll show you guys how she starts. It does run on E85, so it should be hard to start, but honestly, on this car, it's really, really good at handling it. And E85, cheap race fuel, you just have to keep driving it. So I've probably run a quarter tank through it just since yesterday, and hopefully I'll probably just cruise around enough to go through a full tank and put a new tank in it within the next week, just to make sure we've got fresh fuel in here and the E85 doesn't set up and start destroying things. Another interesting thing about this car is it has a real neutral safety switch. I never expected that. So if it's in gear, it will not start. Wait for the pump prime. It's a long prime. I feel like Fonzie and Fabio from Too Fast, Too Furious when I start this car up. It's just wild. All right, now let's head over and let my dad take this thing for a rip too, so that he's got some motivation to work on his, and I have some real motivation to work on mine. This car before. I've made plenty of pulls in it. It's insane. I don't need to do much, maybe one little. It just blows the tires off. It's so much fun. The quintessential muscle car. Everything you expect when you think of a first gen Camaro. Not a stock one. This is what people dream of when they think of these cars. If you've driven a stock one, you're like, yeah, it's cool. If you've driven something like this, it's unbelievable. Like I said, I've made enough pulls. I'm just gonna drive this over to my dad's and let him have some fun with the one. I don't think he's ever driven one that's as wild as this car.
I heard this thing coming in. I thought, I jumped out of my chair and ran outside.
I figured, I just wanted to quickly get your reaction on this versus GTR. Oh, it's got that big cam and you kind of need to be in the power quick. There you go, there you go. There you go.
Hang on, Doug.
If you can use second gear a lot, it'll keep you out of the this hunt. Yep.
Wow.
But also just.
I can't wait to drive mine.
Yep.
Okay, hang on, boys.
Hang on. It's
Woo! I love it. Man, I can't wait. Don't show your mom this video.
Don't show it to her?
Oh gosh.
You didn't see this, I think.
No.
What fun.
Yep, that big block makes everything better, doesn't it?
Wow.
You got overdrive if you want it.
Yeah.
And the red button's a line lock.
Doug, check your pulse. Make sure you're still alive. Better not show your wife either.
Yeah.
I skipped a beat. Something happened back there.
Boy.
So there you have it. If you're into first-gen Camaros, subscribe. There is so much more first-gen Camaro stuff coming. It's going to be a lot of fun, from rebodying my 67 to painting a 69 to a bunch of engine builds and just crazy stuff that's going to be going down. But this one will always be here from now on for me to copy on my 67, and also just to come fire it up, take it for a drive, and remind myself how great these cars are. And the other thing that's funny is both of ours, mine, well, they're both mine. I keep thinking it's Brian's. I can't believe I own this car. It's absolutely insane. But they both have the Corvette power steering pump that way over pressures the stock rack. So we both have this like pinky power steering. It makes the car twitchy, but man, it sure is nice to drive when you need no power at all, like just the slightest touch to turn the wheel. Anyway, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to World of Warships for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to hit the link in the description below to download World of Warships today and use my promo code so you can jump right in with a bunch of free goodies. And don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. And before you guys think I dumped my car or anything like that, do not worry. It is still over here being a running, driving 67 that looks pretty bad after sitting and just collecting dirt for all this time. So I feel bad that it's all filthy, but it does clean up and it looks pretty nice, and it is time to order the new body, because now that I've got another one, I want to finish the other one. This one, it was motivation. It was motivation because that one's perfect and it's the one I always wanted. And now I want this one to be even easier to drive. The big block is super fun, but I feel like this one could be the ultimate driver, because we're probably gonna leave the power glide in it. And every time I've driven this car, I have loved how easy it is to drive an LS with a power glide. It starts instantly and it's so smooth and simple to drive. I don't know. I love this car for its reasons, and I love the new car for its reasons. Also, we still have the Corvette over here that everybody hates. You guys hated it so much that I think we're gonna bring it over to the shop and part it out. I don't know what else to do. I absolutely love Off-Road Leroy. It's been a blast, an absolute blast. It's so cool, but apparently other people disagree with me, and they say it's not as cool as I think it is.